Can you actually live in a container home permanently in Australia? It's one of the most common questions people ask before buying, and the answer is yes, but with a few things you need to understand first. This video covers what permanent living actually means in a legal sense, what approvals you need, and what makes the difference between a container home you can live in long term and one you can't. Let's start with the legal side. In Australia, any dwelling used as a permanent residence needs to comply with the National Construction Code, the same building standard that applies to a traditional brick home. This means your container home needs to meet minimum requirements for insulation, ventilation, structural integrity, fire safety, and in some cases energy efficiency. A raw shipping container with a bed in it does not meet these standards. A purpose-built modular home engineered to Australian standards does. This distinction is the most important thing to understand. The product you buy determines whether permanent living is straightforward or complicated. Purpose-engineered modular homes come with the documentation councils need, engineers' compliance certificates, structural specs, and energy ratings. Modified shipping containers often don't, and retrofitting them to meet code can cost more than buying a compliant product in the first place. So assuming you have a compliant product, what do you actually need to live in it permanently? In most states you'll need a development application or a complying development certificate, depending on your state and the size of your build. You'll need the home connected to water, power and sewerage, or an approved off-grid alternative for each. And you'll need an occupancy certificate or equivalent sign-off from your council or a private certifier confirming the dwelling is habitable. The process varies by state. New South Wales has a well-established pathway for modular dwellings under the Housing SEP, and the Section 68 approval process for manufactured homes is clearly defined. Queensland removed occupancy restrictions on secondary dwellings in 2022, making permanent rental to anyone legal. Western Australia now allows compliant modular homes under 70 square metres to bypass planning approval entirely as of April 2024. Victoria, South Australia and the ACT all have their own processes. The common thread is that permanent occupation requires building approval and compliance with the National Construction Code in every state. One thing that catches people out is the difference between a permanent dwelling and a relocatable or temporary structure. Some expandable and folding container home products are classified closer to caravans than buildings. These can be lived in, but they face different rules. Some councils allow temporary occupation for up to 60 days, others treat them differently again. If your intention is permanent living, make sure the product you're buying is classified and engineered as a permanent dwelling, not a relocatable structure. Off-grid living is where container homes genuinely shine for permanent use. A modular home with a lithium battery solar system, rainwater harvesting, and an on-site sewage treatment system can be fully self-sufficient, no utility connections required. This opens up land that would otherwise be impractical to build on, particularly in regional and rural areas where grid connection costs can run to $50,000 or more. The off-grid systems need to meet Australian standards just like the home itself, but the technology is mature and widely used across regional Australia. A few practical things to check before committing to permanent living in a container home. Confirm your land is zoned for residential use. Container homes are legal, but they still need to go on appropriately zoned land. Rural and agricultural zones have different rules to residential zones, and some areas have minimum lot sizes or other restrictions. Check your BAL rating if you're in a bushfire-prone area. Permanent dwellings in high-risk zones need to meet specific construction standards, and not every modular product is rated for every BAL level. And make sure your product comes with full documentation, engineer's certificate, compliance specs, and floor plans. This is what your council or certifier will ask for, and having it ready up front cuts weeks off the approval process. The bottom line, yes, you can live in a container home permanently in Australia. Thousands of Australians already do. The key is starting with a purpose-engineered, standards-compliant product, understanding the approval process in your state, and making sure your land is suitable. Done right, it's a faster, more affordable path to permanent housing than traditional construction in almost every part of the country. The link in the description takes you to our full range of compliant modular and container homes. Thanks for watching.